All right, and we are live. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another interesting live stream. We are live, guys. Whoa. yeah, I can see all of you in the chats. You people are already there with your questions and all whatnot. And we're going to get to each and every one of them. And thank you, each and every one of you, for coming to my live. We have over 90 people present, 90 viewers, and counting. I'm excited. In this live stream, like you can tell from the thumbnail, we are going to react to a Jubilee video that is Africa. This that is one of the videos in their I think middle ground series that is African versus African American and yet Americans and yet Africans versus African Americans, and you're talking about slavery. And I think it's something that's very interesting. I've not seen the video before, so this is my first time looking at it, and this is my first time reaction. Okay, and also I'll be ready to look at all of your live streams and all of yours, all of your questions. Sorry, I'm ready to look at all of your questions as much as I can, and I'll be able to answer them. If there's a question I saw here that asks, this is from AJV. This person said, "Why did you say that Muslims are not peaceful?" Well, I did not. I never said that Muslims are not peaceful. Bring any video where I said Muslims are not peaceful. In fact, what I have said repeatedly that Islam is the religion of peace. I don't know why you have a problem with that. I don't know how you can translate that to mean Muslims are not peaceful. Of course, they are the most peaceful people you will ever find on the planet. It's the most peaceful religion in the world. The most peaceful. In fact, I think their symbol should just be the symbol of a dove, like the Quran, and then a dove with an olive branch. That is Islam for you, ladies and gentlemen. Or the praying hand with the whatever it is that Muslims pray with. I don't know what you call your prayer, whatever, and then you just see a dove with an olive branch. That is Islam for you. Okay? So I never said that Islam isn't a religion of peace. But we are moving on. Thank you. So we have Vague Warrior, love from India. Thank you so much. Sorry, I can't show my software cannot show your grinning face with big eyes. But thank you so much. Uh, This is from P. Kapi. He said Muslims burnt a Swedish embassy because an Iraqi burnt a Quran on Swedish soil. Well, yeah, I saw the news about that, but I don't want to dabble into that too much. That's not what this live stream is going to be about. This live stream is going to be about the video I was talking about earlier, and we are going to be talking about slavery. And of course, Africans versus African Americans. So it's going to be fun, I believe. It is going to be fun. Okay, somebody asked, this is Antioch Dweller. I said before you start watching it, we want to hear your take on slavery. Uh my take on slavery is pretty diverse. It depends on what aspect. First of all, let me say something that needs to be said over and over and over again, because if you are going to talk about slavery and you don't mention this, then you are not brave. Okay? If you don't mention this when you're talking about slavery, you are not brave, you are not unique, and you are not offering a unique perspective. Even though everyone that has ever talked about the subject of slavery has mentioned this, but when you are talking about slavery, you have to mention it again, which is that slavery is bad. Please note it down. Slavery is bad. I've said it, right? Also, beyond just the fact that slavery is bad, another thing we need to address when it has to do with slavery is that it happened long time ago, especially the ones people keep talking about. There are modern day slaves all over the world. We're talking about sex slaves, we're talking about child slaves. They're all over the world, which is still ongoing, and the number of casualties, the number of victims in this modern day slavery exceed the number that we are will I use the word trafficked or sold during the transatlantic slave trade, and nobody is talking about that, right? But the transatlantic slave trade itself happened long time ago. And honestly, I wish we can just move beyond it. And I believe that so many people who keep bringing it up are bringing it up mainly just to stir up resentment, to stir up anger, to stir up strife among different races, and also want to use it to point out racism. And the conversation about it just keeps bringing certain race down and pulling them back and preventing them from moving forward and progressing past an atrocity that happened long time ago. And I think it's hard time we just move on. But yeah, so that's my opinion on slavery. This is from Stephen Liu. He said, I heard that Nigeria started using the cryptocurrency and the citizens don't like it and rebelled against it. Do you know anything about this? Some are saying they will start doing it here in USA. Let me read what you said again. I heard that Nigerians started using the cryptocurrency and the citizens didn't like it and rebelled against it. No, that's not the case. Okay, what happened in Nigeria with regards to cryptocurrency is Nigerians, when cryptocurrency came newly, Nigerians were all into it. Nigerians like to hop on every new trend. Okay, so when cryptocurrency was a trend, many Nigerians who were into the tech space, they hopped on it. And even those who were not into the tech space, who knew nothing about cryptocurrency, everybody, free for all, so everybody hopped in, right? But Nigerian central bank came up with so many regulations that kind of prevent transaction in cryptocurrency, so much so that you cannot make a bank transfer to buy. You cannot buy crypto with your like you cannot use a bank transfer or your bank app to buy cryptocurrency. You cannot withdraw cryptocurrency using your bank app. And also, if you want to make a crypto related transaction, you do not write in the description, the transaction description, anything that has to do with crypto. If not, it will be blocked. Those are the kind of regulations that they came up with and stuff like that. And yeah, people didn't like it. But of course, Nigerians, instead of protesting, we just go through the back end. So we had a back end through which we can still do transaction in cryptocurrency without making the bank aware of the fact that we are doing transactions using cryptocurrency, which is very easy. I mean, what were they thinking when they came up with all of those regulations and restrictions? That's obviously ridiculous. But yeah, so that's kind of how the whole crypto uh, brouhaha in Nigeria went. But currently, I still right now crypto. I don't know if it is still. I'm not plugged into the crypto space. I feel most of it is just scam. I hear of pump and dump and stuff like that. That's as much as I know about crypto. I'm not really vast in the blockchain space. Yeah. So that's that about that. Somebody asks, have you seen Jubilee's other video about the fake martial artist? No, I have not seen that. Uh, I think people who this is from Do Not Look at My Profile Picture. That's an interesting name. I think people who bring it up uh, bring it up do so because they want to feel oppressed. Yeah, I think so too. And I think some people hold it as some people in the West, especially to get votes and stuff like that. But we'll dabble into all of that. Uh, this is from this is from Oluwakemi Bamidele. She said a lot of people use the slave trade as an excuse when they are not well off or because they are depressed, so they can have someone to blame. Yes, I believe that people use slavery a lot to put the blame on someone else. There are a couple of legitimate conversations we can have about slavery, right? But we can make certain assertions about slavery. We can come to certain agreement about slavery. But the funny thing about it is that no matter the assertions, the agreement, the facts that can be stated about something that happened in the 18th century or the 19th century, depending on where you are in the world, it does not negate, it does not affect so much what is happening now, or acknowledging that fact will not change your present reality. As like I stated earlier, slavery is bad. Yes, accepting that slavery is bad will not change your present reality. There's nothing about your life today that will change when somebody says, "Yeah, it's true, slavery is bad." I don't know if you understand, or that somebody's like, "Oh man, my ancestors really did dirty to your ancestors." There's nothing admitting that, apologizing for that
whatever it is someone wants to do with regards to acknowledging the fact and the historical atrocity of slavery will not change anything about what is happening now. You know, people talk about reparations. Reparations is just like a key or something they dangle around, you know, black people in the West. Whenever politicians want to get something, nobody is going to give you that. The earlier you come to realize that, the better. Nobody. You can have conversations about it for. It is not even practical. It is not really a practical remedy to the atrocities, the so-called atrocities of. In fact, it doesn't make sense, and everybody bringing up every person on whatever political eye bringing up the conversation. No, I feel strongly that they know that this does not make sense, but they will bring it anyway because you give people hope that you are going to do something and you end up not doing that thing. That is the modus operandi of politicians. So yeah. But I'm taking too many. I'm taking too many super chats. So I say super chat, live chats. There are no super chats yet. Please, I would love all the super chats. Donate, support this channel. Uh, I'm not a fan of asking for donations and stuff like that. But hey, there is no shame in asking. So there you go. That's as much as I will ask. So let's get to the video.
Step forward if you agree. Slavery affected my family.
Yeah, I mean, that's just evident in my last name, King. I mean, that's the brand of the slave owner that put that name on my family all those years ago, and I'm still wearing it in those ways, along with the compounded.
Well, we are off to a very, very terrible start. If this is how this video is going to start, then we are off to a very terrible start. With what that person just said, that is absolutely ridiculous. I get where he's coming from. Of course, his last name was given to him. You know, his last name, which is his family name at this point, is something that has a history of slavery attached to it. But do people know? I want to share personal information. Maybe many of you are not aware of this. My name, Frank Steven. Steven is actually my surname. Steven is actually my last name. Yes, that is my family name, Steven. And the slave. This is not a brand or a seal of slavery. This is. It has nothing to do with that. Okay. So what do you say about that? Like to think of your last name like that is just weird to me. It's kind of funny. It's like you're resenting your last name. It's like that's how I see it. Someone who is resenting their last name. Sorry, I selected this in here and I have to unselect it. Yeah, you're obviously resenting your last name. It doesn't make sense to me. Why would you do that? And this can all tie back to language or what have you. Someone will be like, look at the language we speak today. We are speaking that language because of slavery. Some of the things we did today, we are doing that because of slavery. And to use that terminology that it is like the branding that the slave masters have put upon you, your last name. That is a heavy way to talk about it. That is a way you talk about it in such a way that it invokes negative emotion. I get your point, but if someone wants to talk about it like that, you don't say it in such a way that it will obviously evoke negative emotion. Like, my name is Stephen because of colonialism. That is the obvious reason why my name is Stephen, right? Now imagine I'm like, my name is Stephen, and that is the brand of colonialism on my ancestry. That is a weird way to talk about it. I don't know about you, but for me, that's just a weird way to talk about something that you should, at this point, embrace as part of your identity. It is what it is, and should be even proud of it. Another way for me to see it is as proof that you overcame something, or your ancestors overcame something, that they went through something and they came out victorious. That is a better way to look at it. And they say, oh, this is proof that we were oppressed. How about seeing it as this is proof that we are victorious, that we overcame oppression? But of course, that will not facilitate the victim narrative that people who want to talk about slavery like to push. So, there you have it. Exactly. Angel said you can change your name. Yeah, they can change their name, obviously. They can. And John said if he changes his name, he loses his excuse for attention. That's the funny thing. If the name is so much of an issue for you, I mean, Malcolm X changed his name to Malcolm X. Cassius Clay changed his name to Muhammad Ali. You can change your name and say, there are even many Africans who did that. I'm one of the exceptions when it comes to people who have last names that are English names. You can do that anytime. But if you do that for you, you're going to lose that claim, that hold you have on claiming victimhood. So you're going to hold on to it. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. And I don't know if those people realize what it does to them. They themselves who are postulating this, what it does to them psychologically, because you are willfully, consciously, constantly putting yourself under this bondage of something that never happened to you. So anyway, let's keep going.
Economic disparity, social disparity, mental trauma, all of that. I mean, it's tethered forever.
So to go back to slavery and talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, it has never stopped. So there is no post. What my great-grandparents were teaching my grandparents.
Did you guys catch what he just said? He said, if you talk about slavery and you say post-traumatic, there is no post because it never stopped. What does that mean? What does that mean? Like, what exactly does that mean? For something to post-traumatic stress disorder is something you suffer after a traumatic event. That's why it is called post-after trauma. Right? So you're saying the traumatic event is still occurring. Is that what you're saying? Are these people really thinking about what they're saying? Are you saying the traumatic event is still ongoing? Slavery is still ongoing. That is why the trauma from slavery is not post. What exactly are these people trying to say? What exactly is he trying to say?
Who taught my mother, who taught me, came from what they learned through slavery. So there's a lot of fear. It's never stopped. So there is no post. What my great-grandparents were teaching my grandparents, who taught my mother, who taught me, came from what they learned through slavery. So there's a lot of fear, a lot of insecurity, a fear of society, a fear of law enforcement. So slavery has made a major impact where the low self-esteem is consistently reoccurring. I think for me, growing up.
Yeah, to a large extent, I agree with what he's saying, though. With the fact that this trauma, this so-called trauma that he thinks is present, is something that is being taught. It's not something that is being experienced. It's not, hey, this is a trauma that I acquired by virtue of my experience. Instead, it is a trauma that is being transferred. It is a trauma that is being transferred. It's something that parents transfer to their children. And as a Nigerian, I know a lot about transferred, baggage that comes from parents, right? You will see families that are at odds, families that have been fighting for ages. They don't even know when this fight started and they don't know when it will end. And it's just parents passing it on to their children and the children passing it up to the children they get to be. And they just keep perpetuating something that they don't even know. They participate in something they have no idea how it started. They have no idea how it came to be. They have no idea about certain rifts, certain animosities that they hold. They have no idea about it, but they are perpetuating it, they are participating in it, and they keep it going forever. And you owe it to yourself. I believe every individual owe it to themselves to get rid of those, will I call it generational? It's more like a generational curse. You owe it to yourself to get rid of those generational curses and not carry it over to your children, because it does not help you. It does not help you as an individual. It doesn't. Sorry, I keep leaving the chats unselected. It does not help you as an individual. It doesn't. That mentality will not help you, become a functioning part of society. That attitude does not help you assimilate into any given society where you find yourself. Okay? Sorry, I'm looking at the charts, a little bit distracted. What was I saying? So yeah, you need to actively try to detach yourself from, those generational causes, like I call it. You need to detach yourself from it. And yes, I use the word generational causes. People will be like, what? You're talking about slavery like it's a generational cause. You're talking about this trauma from slavery like it's a generation. Yes, it is. It is, because these are mindsets. These are worldviews. These are how you participate in society that is okay, just like how you want let's say you see somebody who has a racist mentality that was taught to that person, somebody's let's say someone comes from a racist family. Let's imagine that there is a racist family somewhere. The father is racist, the mother is racist, and the father and the mother probably learned racism from their parents, right? They learned how to treat people in a particular way from their parents. When you see those people, you use the word like these woke people like to use. You need to unlearn this racist behavior. You need to unlearn this racist attitude. You need to unlearn this racist stereotype. In the same vein, people who have bought into the victim mentality, people who have been taught to live with a particular trauma that they did not experience, should also put it upon themselves to unlearn that, to break free from that. And if you don't break free from that, you cannot participate and benefit from the beauties that your society have to offer. You can't. If you keep carrying some things that your parents suffer on your back, you will not be able to live in the present. To unlearn those things, you have to. It is nobody's job but yours. It is not it doesn't mean that everybody around you should begin to feel for you, be sad for you because your parents went through something and now they've passed that trauma over to you. The way people used to, in the West, black people especially will say, you need to know where I'm coming from. Nobody needs to know where you're coming from in that regard. No, they don't need to know your family history. It is upon you to make yourself somebody that they will want to relate with and not see all those things that you want them to see. Those trauma that people talk about, especially African Americans, you need to understand that those are baggages that people should not see. Those are things you need to deal with yourself. People should not see that. Yes, people should not see it. But not everybody buy the same ideas as this idea that I'm espousing.
Up in Los Angeles, California in the early 1960s, there was a stereotype that I didn't want to be black. I didn't want to be African because we come from Africa or we're slaves. So I want to be a Chinese boy. I want to be Bruce Lee. So growing up like that, I didn't like myself and who I was. I didn't like the color of my skin or the way that I spoke. So I emulated other people. I wanted to be something that I was not.
It's very saddening when
This is part of the. This is going to be interesting. I mean, this is really going to be interesting because one question I want to ask him is: so who are you now? I wanted to be Asian. I wanted to be this. I wanted to be that. So who are you now? How will you describe yourself as now? What does it mean to be Asian? What does it mean to be white? What does it mean to be anything you were trying to emulate? And now that you did not, you maybe right now you will claim, oh, I'm no longer emulating any of those things. So what are you now? Do you realize that you are tying your identity to the color of your skin? I mean, you can be anything you want to be. You can adopt any culture you want to adopt. This is 2023. And in the 1960s, that's 1960 in the US. You can adopt anything you see from any culture that you appreciate. You can emulate it. If there's something the Asians were doing that you like, go for it. If there's something the whites were doing that you like, go for it. I mean, the West is a basket of diverse cultures. Pick and choose. I mean, that's what white people do, okay? To speak the way that's what Europeans do. They go to other cultures, see something they like, and they pick it. They see something they like, and they say, this is nice, we take it. Now it is now European culture. In the same vein, you are surrounded in America where you are growing up by diverse culture. And instead of taking the ones you love, emulating the ones you love, maybe then you were young and naive. I don't know. But the way you're talking about it like you wanting to be something you see around you was wrong. But it's not wrong. Right? It is not wrong. In Nigeria, we have diverse culture. I've mentioned this before. We have over 300 ethnic groups, right? There's some food that I eat that is not the delicacy of my ethnicity. It is not. It's from another ethnic group. I may not even like that ethnic group, but I like that delicacy and I'm going to learn how to cook it. And that might become my favorite delicacy. One of my favorite meals. It's not even a meal and it is common in America. This is not, I'm saying this, many people like tacos. They're not Mexicans. Okay? So this whole talk about, what does it mean to be African American? Should there be an African American culture that you must, as an African American, live by? No, you emulate. The world is just so many things you can be. You can borrow whatever it is you want to borrow. It's not a bad thing that you grew up and you wanted to be like someone else. Or you grew up and you wanted to be like someone that you were emulating somebody who did not look like you. There is nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay? Let me see. Somebody say, this is, thank you, C Master, for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. It said, unrelated question, but my Nigerian friend's mom is being verbally abused by her husband and won't do anything about it due to her upbringing. Any advice? Man, I don't know. I need to know the details of the situation, of course. I cannot just be like, okay, this is what she should do, this is what she should not do. And I don't know if this is happening in Nigeria. I don't know where exactly it is happening. So I guess I need more details. And I'm not what's the word? I'm not comfortable with giving advice to people I don't know. Because for me, I feel for you to give good advice, you need to know a lot about the situation. You need to know a lot because a lot of things, So, yeah. Someone else said, my daughter's Mexican boyfriend doesn't like tacos. Call the police. Yeah. Exactly. That person is going to be like, oh, can you imagine? I'm a Mexican. I grew up Mexican and I don't like tacos. That's bad. That is to show you how my culture has been taken away from me. Come on. Culture is ever evolving. There's this thing people do with culture where they kind of hold it too tight, even when there are things about it that should evolve, things about it that should change. And people talk about, my culture has been lost. Find a new one. Okay? Find a freaking new one. All right, let's continue.
You can literally only go back a couple generations, and then it's like
let me
the
back up
documents just.
So I emulated other people. I want to be something that I was not.
It's very saddening when you can literally only go back.
And before I leave this point, he said, I'm trying to be something that I was not. Which is exactly the point I've been trying to make here, which is, what exactly are you then? What exactly are you? When I was emulating the Chinese, I was trying to be something that I was not. What do you mean? Like you try, if you learn something from the Chinese, or there's something in Chinese culture that you appreciate and you go for, doing that is you not being yourself? Then what does it mean to be you? Let's say your culture was lost. Does that mean your identity as an individual is lost as well? Of course not. Of course not. Anyways, let's continue.
Couple generations, and then it's like the documents just don't exist. There's no record. It's like, my family has completely been erased. In that same point too, in the time that we've been here, we've created an incredible culture, and we have so many things to be proud of. And I always reframe the narrative myself, and I speak of my ancestors that were enslaved as, doctors and healers, and it's like, we were taken because we were talented.
Right.
African Americans, the kingpin of Afrocentrism. No, you people were not taken because you were talented. As a matter of fact, you people were taken because you were weak. I know nobody ever tells you this, but that's the truth. If you were strong, they won't take you. Okay? It's because your tribe in Africa was so weak that a stronger tribe came, conquered them, took the men and the strong ones. Okay, let's say the strong ones. In fact, sometimes they took children, took those who they have captured and sold them to the whites. Okay, you ended up in American shores because your tribe was very weak. Okay, so they kill that narrative that they took you because you people were talented. No, it's not true. They took you because you people were weak. And the funny thing and the sad thing is that till date, Africa is still suffering from that sickness of being weak. Okay? So, no. And I know this will be shocking to so many people. They'll be like, how dare you say that these people were taken because it's the truth. It's the truth. And I know it is. And I'm saying it the way it is because I know it's going to shock so many people and it's going to make them wake up for the first time. Yes, it's the truth. Nobody should try to sugarcoat it or make. It's the truth. It's the truth. It's how conquest work, right? Most of the, if not all, most of the Europeans who engaged in slave trade did not go into African countries or into African communities and snatch the black people there. No, that's not how it happened. One tribe will go to war against another tribe, and when they conquer that tribe, they take these people there, the people who have been conquered, and sold them to the whites. That's how it happened. All right? Of course, there are so many of them who were doing this and they were being financed by the Europeans. Right? Many of them were being financed by the Europeans. But Europeans did not do the dirty work. They did not. It was Africans who were doing the dirty work for them. African kings, African warriors. They were the ones going. There is a place in close to where I live that is a huge slave market. Not like close by, like it's two minutes walk. It's kind of like a few hours drive. It's a drive to another state, right? And it's a known slave depot. During I will call it slave market, not slave depot, sorry. Slave market during the slave trade. It was known. Okay? And that is where Europeans come to buy slaves. They don't go in themselves. You have mosquitoes here. Mosquitoes, deadly mosquitoes. Europeans cannot survive it. Okay? They could not survive it. For you to be able to operate in Africa here, you need to have the immunity of an African. Okay? And Europeans had not seen mosquitoes or malaria or anything like that. So we were the ones who were doing the dirty work for the most part. And when we conquered, when a strong African tribe conquered a weak African tribe, they sell them as slaves. So it has not, all those things are just beautiful stories you tell yourself to sleep well at night and make you feel proud of yourself, of the fact that somehow you ended up as this. No, there's nothing to be proud of when it comes to how you ended up in wherever how your ancestors ended up in the West. There is nothing to be proud of in any way about how you were moved. It wasn't because of some unique energy, unique spirituality or whatever it is you want to talk about that. No, it has nothing to do with that. That is the simple explanation is your tribe was weak, your tribe was conquered, and your tribe was sold. Period. Also, the guy was saying something about the guy was saying something about documentation, how his ancestors, there's no proper documentation of like his ancestors in the 14th century. Welcome to the club. I don't know who my ancestors were in the 14th century, and I was not taken out of this continent. Okay? I don't know who my ancestors were even in the 16th century. Okay, a huge problem of Africa is that we don't have writing tradition, right? And what we have is a oral tradition, right? And so many of the stories they tell me about my great grandfather, a lot of it sound like folklore. I don't know how much of it is factual, and it's not because of colonialism or anything like that. It's because, in fact, why we are able to know so much about Africa is because of historians, most of whom were either Arabs or Europeans. Okay? So what you know about so what I'm trying to say to this black guy here is what you know about your ancestors today is made possible because of Europeans. If you were living here, what you have about your ancestors is folklore. Nothing else, and most of it are not accurate information. Most of it is fables mixed with some element of fact that have been bended and twisted, and you don't even know how much of it is true. That's what you have. Okay, so just calm down. Why is this?
Because we had skills to offer. We built this country, so
And still building.
and still building. And that's something to take pride in. So
Can they disagree a step forward?
They said they built. Anyway, they did. Slavery was, especially those in the South. I guess it's debatable. I would say. I don't know. I don't have so much of the facts to know if it is a fact, if it's how accurate it is, or otherwise. Okay, still building. Okay, I'm not sure about that, but how much? Okay, well, maybe they're still building. I mean, you have black entrepreneurs, you have Jay-Z, and you have Kanye West, and the income tax they pay kind of help in building the country, so to speak. So yeah, and the entertainment industry is dominated by African Americans. So in a way, they are contributing significantly to the American economy, I would say. Yeah. So you can see they are still building. How the percentage is a different story, right? But it's not like they are not contributing anything. Did somebody ask? I'm seeing somebody say, "Yep, he's Igbo." In the comments, I don't know if someone asked if I'm Igbo. Yes, I am. I am. My tribe is the Igbo tribe. Somebody said the Arabian slave trade is hardly talked about, even though it was so horrible. They castrated black male slaves. Yeah, I made a video about it that YouTube put an age restriction on, but yeah, that's a fact. Okay, and the Arab slave trade was more as in it was genocidal to put it accurately, because they castrated the men to ensure that they do not procreate or continue their most of the men, not all anyway, and Islamic slave traders, let me call it what it is, because I know they are going to come at me in the comments and say, no, don't, it's being Muslims have nothing to do with it. Okay, what about if I say the European slave traders were Christian slave traders? Is that an olive branch that I can extend to my Muslim friends when I say Islamic slave traders? If I can extend that olive branch, then let me say Islamic slave traders we are a thing in West Africa, especially in West Africa. It was a thing. Okay, and I don't know how much of it has been abolished, because rumor has it that even in Saudi Arabia today, there are still African slaves in Saudi Arabia. A form of it, not the actual one where they are in chains and stuff like this, but if a form of it still exists. We still hear about how the Qatar stadium was built. It was mostly through slave labor. Something that closely resembles slave labor. So yeah. Let's continue.
Slavery didn't affect my family, but we did suffer a different type of slavery back home. Like, we went through colonization. Like, I am Bamileke. There was a massacre of Bamileke. You guys.
True story. In fact, he needs to mention that if you check very well, it's probably his ancestors that sold your ancestors. You understand? As an African American, as a true African that he is, it's probably his ancestors who sold your ancestors. But he will not want to mention it here because, of course, you don't want to start off with that kind of information. That will be crazy.
Can I look it up? They killed like more than 300,000 of my people because we didn't want to assimilate to the French culture. But it's still nothing compared.
Yeah, I need to mention something about what he said here, which is very important. I know I can be rightly accused of downplaying colonialism sometimes, but French colonialism is terrible. Like, the way Europeans colonized Africa, each European country had its own method, right? There's the policy of association, which the British used, and then there's the policy of assimilation, which the French used. And the policy of assimilation was terrible. The way French people went about, I don't know about other European countries, how they colonized their African colonies, but the French colonization, as far as I'm concerned, did not even end. It has not ended. Like we talked in the last live stream, if some of you were live, and I was mentioning the fact that we were with us when we did that. Or if you've seen it, I mentioned that what is happening in Niger with ECOWAS is just a repetition or a reenactment of French colonialism, which has never ended. It never left. Never left West Africa. Okay? They were brutal. The French government were and still are brutal in Africa. Their reign in Africa is something that I will till tomorrow condemn. Right? Many of the European powers have ceased their operation in Africa. Some of them have ceased completely. The British, well, a little bit, right? Through foreign aid and all whatnot. The US is like newcomers. They are looking for ground to hold. The Chinese, yes. The Russians, yes, a little. But the French, Jesus Christ. Maybe one day I will do a video just explaining how terrible the French government have been operating in Africa. It's really bad. Well, let's continue.
What you guys' ancestor been through,
I wouldn't want to minimize that pain, though. What you just said hurt me. That 300,000 people were killed because they would not conform to the colonization of the French people. So that is just as painful and hurtful as the trauma that we suffered here in America.
Sorry, I'm going to be commenting on every single thing in this video because that's how I am. Everything is what I'm talking about. Okay, I don't know if you guys are okay with it. Anyways, there's something he just mentioned, which is the fact that when this guy talked about, the Bamileke tribe in Cameroon that were killed during the French colonial rule in Cameroon and in West Africa, and when the tribe will not comply with a French policy of assimilation and how they were brutally murdered. And this person who lives in the US and has lived in the US all his life said, I feel that pain. Like, what does that even mean? It's like me saying I feel the pain of slavery even though I didn't. No, you don't feel it. You are assuming an emotion. You are assuming an emotion. It's like every trauma that has ever happened to every black person is your trauma. Jesus Christ. Are you just walking around looking for trauma to claim? You don't feel it. You did not experience it. Hey. It's like I come to you now and I tell you about the Aba Women's Riot and I was like, oh, it was a brutal something that... Okay, what if I come to this guy and tell him about the Nigerian Civil War and how northern Nigerians were killing eastern Nigerians? What is he going to say? Oh, I feel your pain. Over 5 million people died in that war. 5 million of my people because it was Igbos versus Nigeria. This is stories that my father did well to tell each and every one of his children. And I come to you now and I tell you, oh, that happened to my people. And it was done to us by other black people, other Nigerians. The Nigerian military was using starvation as a weapon of war. Think about that. Their weapon of war, one of their major weapons of war in the Biafran war was starvation. And I come to you and I tell you about that and you're like, yeah, I feel your trauma. How? I don't even feel the trauma of that thing that I just described now because I did not go through it. I cannot even imagine what it's like living under that kind of condition. So many people died of kwashiorkor. So many people died of malnutrition. It was bad. It was bad, right? But I cannot even feel it because I can only imagine how terrible it was. And my imagination is not even doing justice to how terrible it was. And then for me to now say I can assume the emotion. No, I can't. And here's somebody who is just hearing about it for the first time. He's just hearing like one or two facts about it. He has not even had the full story and it's like, I feel that. No, you did not feel anything. Why are you looking for trauma to just bag? Really? This is ridiculous. To me, it just doesn't make sense at all.
I can't share the same experience that you have went through and your family. Even though we also had our own type of slavery, we had apartheid at the time, where the Dutch people took over and they wanted to just have South Africa, Namibia, and I think other countries where we could only just speak Dutch. It's somehow still happening even now. There's like a place in South Africa where it's called Orania, and it's just Dutch people there. No black person is even allowed there. So we still somehow feel that oppression even now, but it's nothing compared to what your ancestral history, has gone through. I'm somehow happy that you guys have forgiven it, even though you haven't forgotten it. Have you forgiven it? I mean, like your face, like.
Do that, but me personally.
My dear, they have not forgiven it. Oh, Jesus Christ. They will talk about it till thy kingdom come. They will talk about it till thy kingdom. You see this slavery thing? 500 years from now, we'll still be talking about it. Why more slavery is still ongoing? No? It's not like slavery has ended. Why children are being trafficked? Why women are being trafficked as sex slaves? It's going to continue. And while all of that is happening, we are still going to. Do you know in 1649, my ancestor by the name of John Matombo was taken? We will still be talking about it. Trust me. Trust me.
No, I haven't, but I want to work through the change. But no, I have not forgiven because it's a system that's still going on. And from what I'm hearing from you guys, there's a system that's still going on.
What system? I can't listen. There's something about the way people talk about, there's a system of oppression. Talking about it that way, there is something going on, all right? There are a couple of things going on, right? That is responsible for, for example, that is responsible for Africa, the state of Africa today. There are a lot of things going on, a lot, right? If you call it a system of oppression, it doesn't make sense, and it is hard to address when you make it look like there's just this boogeyman out there, because that's the way it sounds. There's this boogeyman out there, this system out there that is trying to put Africa down. But when you look at the problem, not in your, will I call it generic speaking terminology, just be specific. One of the problems in Africa, we have corruption. One of the problems in Africa, we have bad government, incompetent leadership. One of the problems in Africa, we have foreign influence, a lot of foreign influence in Africa that is detrimental to the African interest, to the interest of the average African, or to the interest of the African population in general. These are issues we can. Okay, one of the problems in Africa is that we don't have a free market. We don't have real free market economy. We've not really experienced that. Especially in recent times, in recent history, we've not really experienced that. I know this is something that Americans want to demolish. Capitalism is bad. We've not experienced true capitalism, or even to the degree that Americans have experienced in Africa here. We can talk about all of those things. We can talk about bribery. We can talk. These are things that you can point out, and once you point out each of these things, it is easier to deal with them. We can come up with solution for corruption. We can come up with a solution for incompetent government. We can come up with a solution for undemocratic government. We can come up with a solution for these things. Now have names. We know what they are. But once you sit back and say, there is a system of oppression, where do you begin? It now makes it look like there is just this web of that you don't even know where to start from. It's like you're looking for the spider that created the web. But once you can name your problem, it is easy to fix them. And you have to give them a name that makes sense, a name that is specific, right? When you talk about what blacks are suffering or any kind of suffering that I don't know the full details of it, but the ones I know is that, there's crime, there's fatherlessness, stuff like that. You can, if you pinpoint it like that, if you even say that there is trauma that we suffer from, the generational trauma that we suffer from, it is a name. It is better than to say a system of oppression. That is something that can be dealt with. A system of oppression cannot be dealt with. And I feel those who come up with those kind of terminologies don't want to solve the problem. They want the problem to continue to exist so that they can milk it. That is how I see it. If you really want to solve a problem, you will perfectly identify it, define it. Where does it start? Where does it end? How long it is? How long is it? How wide is it? Then you can fix it. But once you come with this system of oppression, there is a system going on. You cannot fix the problem. There is no way to fix the problem when you think about the problem in such terms. I don't know if I'm making sense. Let me go. Let me go to the live chat for support. Someone, this is John. He said, I think he's replying someone, and now I'm reading the chat. Anyway, I've highlighted it and now I'll read it. A minority is most likely to be accepted in college in America because of diversity need. Because of diversity, people need to realize that that politicians only care about power, not people, which is true. Yeah. They only care about power, not people, and they're going to feed you whatever lie will make them get you to give them the mandate. Any lie they will feed to you, they will. There's one thing people need to understand about politicians is that they are professional, trained liars. They're like pimps. Okay, most of them. I won't say all of them. What else? Yeah, someone who said they believe, this is from Michelle, they believe they know the problem and they want to eliminate it off the face of the earth. I don't, if you are referring to the problem of the problem that black people face, or Africans, or whichever demographic or race you want to talk about, I don't think that's what they want to do when they come up with this terminology of systematic or systemic whatever. I don't think that's no. Nobody. I find it hard to imagine that I come to you and I tell you, you have a sickness, and I want you to understand that your problem is you have a sickness. Deal with it. Now I've told you that you have a sickness. How are we going to solve it? What is the name of the sickness? What causes the sickness? If you say you have malaria, it is easier to deal with. Let's say you call me and say you have malaria, you have typhoid, you have fever. You have this, you have that, you have that. You tell me the illnesses I'm suffering. But if you come on, that's how to say something is systemic sound to me. It's like saying you have a sickness. Okay, thank you. What is the name of the sickness? What is the cause of the sickness? How do I deal with it? All of those have not been addressed, and I cannot solve the problem. Instead, I'm going to walk around saying, do you know that I'm sick? You know.
On in Africa as well, and it's a war on us.
Racism is the main cause of poverty among black people in America.
Racism is a very big issue that, talking about it, I'm really trying to be careful to not say anything that will be insensitive. If opportunity is right here, they will give it to people of other race than African American. And Africans too. So if there's a job that
and that is obvious, and that is and that is obvious BS. I don't know if I can pull up a stat here to let people know that African Americans in America, African Americans in America, African Americans in America, Nigerian Americans in America earn more than white Americans. That is average median household income. Earning of Nigerian Americans household. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Well, I'm not sure about this anyway. I might be wrong, but let me check. Where is it now? But I saw a stat that shows that the okay, this one is from Medium. I don't know how true it is, but it says Nigerian Americans. Let's see if the article really offers anything meaningful to
maybe I may be wrong. I stand corrected, but this is a Medium article. I don't know if you I don't know if you guys can see it. It's small. Let me make it big. You can see it. Say why Nigerian immigrants are one of the most successful ethnic groups in the U.S. Let me see if there's anything they mention here that gives us figures, because that's what I want to see. They say 35% of them hold a bachelor's degree and 17% a master's degree. 59% of Nigerian Americans aged 25 and plus have a graduate degree compared to 11% of the US population. Nigeria accounts for less than 1% of the black population in the US, yet they make up nearly 25% of all the black students at Harvard Business School. It comes to no surprise that Nigerian Americans achievement in the world of education top any other U.S. immigrant group, including Asian Americans. Today, a growing number of Nigerian Americans are entrepreneurs, CEOs, founders of tech companies across the U.S. and abroad. But I want to see percentage. They said they are also more likely to be counted in the higher income bracket, as 35% of Nigerian American households earn $90,000 per year. Now I want to know what the average white person earns, but I believe that figure is kind of larger than that, and these are like actors and footballers and what have you that are Nigerian. So apparently, I don't know, I couldn't get it, but let's not waste too much time. Why I'm bringing this up is if the color of your skin is going to prevent you from getting certain opportunities, and the reason why many people are poor is because of the color of their skin, how come Nigerian American households, a huge percent, 35% of them, are doing well, earning significant amount of money? If you are going to bring up racism, I'm not saying there are not certain instances where people suffer from racism when it has to do with employment and financial opportunities and what have you. But how much of it is significant enough to stop you? Everybody, I believe there is racial discrimination across the board. Everybody suffers it. The question is, how much of your suffering is it significant enough? Like they say about elections, when they're like, oh, there are irregularities in this election. They say how much of it is how much of the irregularity is enough to change the outcome of the election. So minor irregularities can be looked at, like can be dismissed. So it's the same thing with you saying that racism is affecting your opportunity and is the reason why you are poor. When you say, okay, there is racism that exists, in certain jobs, or for certain people, they may experience it. True. The question now is, how much of it is happening enough to say that it is significant enough to be considered as one of the major reasons, or even a reason, why blacks are not doing well in the US? And if it is real that racism exists, then how come Nigerian Americans are doing well? How come immigrants, black immigrants, African American immigrants are doing well, are doing way better than African Americans? So, yeah.
Maybe have math requirement. I feel like they'll pick an Asian person, or they believe, oh, African Americans will not dress appropriate, so they will pick another person. They will always pick people that are not black over people that are black.
And I also think, I think the crucial missing point when we talk about economic disparity, time. Time is the most valuable currency. And if you have a stock that's the American dream is the stock, and during all that time, all that asset, the American dream was appreciating, and you're not allowed to take out business loans, you're not allowed to read, you're not allowed to write, you had to first fight to become 3/5 of a citizen, then you got Jim Crow, and then you got everything
Jesus
else.
Christ.
It's you're now.
Jesus Christ. If you don't go to the past, will you live? Will you breathe? Jesus Christ. We are talking about what is happening today. Baba has gone to 1945 already. Yeah, boom. One-way ticket to the past. Jesus Christ. Talk about the present.
Having to buy.
The Nigerians that are doing well in the US, do they have stocks from 1984?
Do they have stocks from 1846? Jesus, the Chinese that are doing well, first generation billionaires, millionaires rather, that are Chinese, do they have stocks from 1642? Christ. Focused on now. People are building wealth now. You are looking at somebody who inherited wealth from 202 AD that you didn't have. Oh my God, you are oppressed. God.
In at a price so high because the time is irreparable. You can't get that back. One black person today cannot, in one lifetime, achieve what generations of white families were able to do simply because they didn't have to compete with us to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you totally.
You agree. Of course you agree.
Like,
Yeah, I was thinking, just like you said, from a historical standpoint, we start with slavery, then that's centuries, generations of stolen labor, like you said. Then we get into Jim Crow, which is just an
Yeah, let's start with what my ancestors suffered, because as we all can see, I've not suffered anything. I've not experienced any racism. But if I can go back to the one my father experienced, then we can have a conversation, ladies and gentlemen. As we can all see that I've not experienced any form of oppression. But I know somebody in my family who tell me if there's somebody in everybody's family, in everybody's bloodline who did not go through oppression. Let's go there. Let's all of us go back. Let's all of us go way back and find where we can get some victim points. Jesus Christ. We're talking about racism today. People have gone to 1644.
Mention of that. Then we have redlining, we have mass incarceration, we have events like the bombing of Tulsa and Rosewood in Florida, and all these different examples of our wealth being decimated. And I don't say that to come from a defeatist or a victim mindset, but I think if we just have an honest conversation about history and what we've gone through when we've been here, racism is definitely a big part of that. And there are a lot of successful Black Americans, a lot of millionaires, a lot of business owners, but they're exceptions for sure for a reason. And there's a big difference between income and wealth.
Do you know that is a terrible mindset? These people, do they listen to themselves? That is a very terrible mindset. To say that successful Black people, successful African Americans are the exception. That is that if most African Americans or Black Americans, let's stop calling them African Americans. I think I've exercised enough political correctness. If most of the Black American population believe this, then it explains a lot about why they are where they are today. To believe that you succeeding is an exception, then why are you even trying? What guarantees that you will be among the exception? Since the rule for you as a Black person, the norm for you as a Black person is to be poor. Jesus Christ.
I would like to challenge the ideal that African Americans are lazy or that we don't have a good work ethic. I think there's this perception that, we're here, we're in America, how are we not doing better for ourselves? So.
I thought I was going to be the only one staying. I was going to be like, oh, I'm about to be like Kanye West. But okay, there's a lot of things we can use as an excuse to hold us back, to not to reach our potential. But it's up to us to look past that. Like me coming from Africa, I came here to better my life, my family. I'm the only one.
Yes, so you came. That's one thing I like about immigrant mindset. Many of these people look like it's even their parents that brought them here. Those who are like, you came here. You came over, as in you moved, your father sold his land, right? I know many people don't know this, but there are people who get to America because their parents sold, and landed property in Nigeria is seen as a family heirloom. It's not something you sell anyhow, right? So your father sells his land to transport you abroad, only for you to go there and start talking about oppression. Something is wrong with you. I'm telling you, your ancestors will knock you in the head. Are you mad? And then you go abroad and you're like, the reason why I cannot make it is because of racism. Don't even try that nonsense. Don't even try it. Don't even try it. Your father doesn't want to hear that. The people that are waiting for you at home, people you left in Nigeria, people you left in Africa don't want to hear that nonsense story. So whatever you have to do, legal thing you have to do to make it, you better do it. Because they sacrificed a lot to send you over there. That is the mindset. And tell me somebody who goes to a place with that mindset and will not make it. But then when you have this mindset of, I'm oppressed, do you know I'm suffering a lot? What do you think is going to happen? Of course. You're going to hold yourself back, and then you claim that it's the system that is holding you back.
Yeah. And since I have been here, there's a lot of bad things that happen to me. There's also a lot of good things that happen to me. As African or African American, we need to like look past like racism and like just focus on our own goal. Like, what do we want to achieve? We need to stop using the word racism when we don't get something or when something don't go our way, and just keep trying, you know.
So let me jump in real quick. No disrespect, but
Before this guy comes and says something that I don't like, because I think he's going there. I believe he's going there. Before he starts, what this guy in blue said is I 100% agree with. Don't give yourself excuse. I want to tell people, I hope there are Black Americans listening to me, and I want to tell you something that happens in Africa, especially in Nigeria. I don't know how much of it still happens today, but I know in the 90s it was happening. Now, the major city in Nigeria is Lagos. Lagos is the bustling city. For so many people, going to Lagos is like going to the US. Lagos was seen as the land of opportunities. And Lagos is in the west, a Yoruba state. Although so many people like to say Lagos is no man's land, but before I continue my story, let me just highlight something before it goes away. This is from Long Story Short. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He said the term is called self-fulfilling prophecy. People come from West Africa and hail to N double what black born in US. N double what blacks born in the US. I think N is what you're supposed to say. Despite coming here poor. And it's true. It's true. You are right about that 100%. Now back to my story. So as I was saying, Lagos is like the land of opportunity, right? And Lagos is a Western state, a Yoruba state. Some people today like to claim that Lagos is no man's land, but the truth is that it is a Yoruba state. And when people from so many parts of the country, especially Igbos, when they moved to, because my parents, I had countless stories of this, of Igbo people who came to Lagos and they could not rent an apartment. It's not because they didn't have the money, but because the landlord, the Yoruba landlord, would not rent the property to them. Yes, because of tribalism. They will not. But these Igbo people were not deterred by that. Many of them came to Lagos and we are living in the streets. Some we are living under bridges. And they were able to come from that, made so much money that they were many of them now are landlords in Lagos. If you go to Lagos now, landed property are owned by Igbo people. There's a place there's a market in Lagos called Alaba Market. If you go to Alaba Market, what you see there are Igbos. Igbos dominating a market in the West, running businesses in the West. These are people who we are not even allowed to rent property. They were not even allowed to rent houses. Like, they could not rent a room. They went from living on the streets to owning properties in Lagos. Because they will not, and this is the kind of stories that we should be hearing about African Americans in America. Not this story you people tell. How I came from nothing and I made something despite all these things that I claim are against me. I remember one story my dad told us, me and my brothers, about somebody who came to Lagos, wanted to rent an apartment. The Yoruba landlord said, no, we are not going to give it to you. He went to another one, no. He went to another one, no. They were rejecting him. The last one he went to, he told the man, he told him that by the time I'm done in this Lagos, I will buy your house. That's what he told him. By the time I'm done in this Lagos, I will buy this your house. And he did. That's what he called the hustler attitude. The I will not take no for an answer attitude. So when I hear, that is why when I hear Black Americans talk about oppression, I'm like, just stop. Just stop. You have no excuse. And the earlier you accept this as a fact, the better for you. I believe your success as a race is tied to you and not giving yourself that opportunity to dwell on any excuse or any to form this pity party and start sharing rice on top of it. Don't do it. Okay? No matter how hard it is, you can make it. I don't want to tell you my story because it will result in me giving too many private information. But I have something similar. Of course, it's not. But mine is that I grew up in a country that wants to terminate your future, essentially. If people in Africa are making it under hardship, and you live in the West and you come up with an excuse, I can't respect you. I can't take you serious. You sound funny. You sound ridiculous. You know, there's this song Kendrick Lamar sang. He said, he was talking about I think the title of the song is Blue Faces, but I'm not sure that's the title of the song because the title of the song has like a date and a number. And then towards the last verse of the song, it was like it was like an African talking to a Black American, and it was like, yeah, you settle for everything, complain about everything. Your cry this is the line that I like in that song is your cry is hysterical. That means when you are crying, it is funny. It makes me want to laugh. That is the truth. Your cry is hysterical. It's funny. I'm like, wait, is that why you are crying? Is that why are you serious right now? Are you serious right now? That's how I feel. Anyways, let's continue and listen to this man tell us how 2044 is also
Racism exists.
1821 was when the problem started.
And I have to acknowledge it. And I can't just ignore it. But what I can do is not buy into the system. You know, if I want to do something, let me be the entrepreneur. What I believe happened in the 1960s is that we started looking for equal rights, to be equal with other people. And what we stopped doing, and I heard you talk about Tulsa, we stopped using the Black-owned businesses. Now, because you guys got to understand, the Fair Housing Act in 1968, I'm 5 years old. That's when we could move off the east side of LA and move into other subcultures. So what I wanted to do at 8 years old was go to IHOP. I didn't want to go to the Ma and Pa restaurant anymore. I wanted to go to, let's go eat at the hotels. So what we did is stop supporting each other and started supporting corporate America. So the racism plays a major part, but we don't have to buy into it.
I have been waiting to disagree with you, my brother.
There's something he said where he talked about equal rights, and to a degree, I agree with him. You know, I think one of the problem of African Americans and of Americans in general is that they feel you can get something by agitation. Like if you put up a rally, if you go for protest, if you do all, you will get something. There's so many things about life that are earned. Like you have to walk your way through it. Money answereth all things, like the Bible said. There are some things you have to earn. There are some things that it is your excellence and financial prosperity that will grant it to you. There are some things that no matter how you agitate, they may give you certain rights and it will mean nothing. I mean, what rights have they not given to you? They've given you the right to vote. They give you affirmative action. They've given you, what have they not given you? Now they are planning to give you something that looks like reparation. It will not change anything because you did not earn it. I know. Before you attack me and say, no, my ancestors were slaves for 4,000 years. That is how I earned it. Yeah, that was your ancestors, not you. Most of the things you are asking for, you have not put yourself in a position to enjoy those things. Once you and for you to put yourself in a position to enjoy those things, you have to have financial prosperity. You have to be competent. You have to excel in your craft. You have to really have something to offer society beyond just the things that you are known for. Let me not mention them before I will be accused of being racist. But you know what I'm talking about. You have to move past those things.
I'm waiting patiently. The thing is, even though I want to disagree with you, I get where you're coming from. When I see black people talking about racism, all that stuff, I'm like, what is wrong with these people? You guys have food, you have EBT, all these things, and you're here shouting about somebody is racist too. Just leave that person and move on. I feel that way. Like, why are they always like complaining? But when Black Lives Matters started happening, like, I sat down, I said, I need to actually know why these people are pained. And if we look at the history, what they've done to them, like if you actually sit down, watch some documentaries, how they were maltreated, I don't think if I'm actually born, I will forgive those people. I don't care. It's easier for us Africans that were raised in Africa.
Oh, my sister, stop talking like that. Stop. Stop talking like that because it's not true. You're being patronizing, my dear. My dear, you're being patronizing. You're not being honest. You're not being honest. You want to talk about oppression. You want to talk about unforgivable atrocities. You really want to go there. You really want to go there. You are an African, no? You only in Nigeria. Let's not go there. You want to talk about unforgivable atrocities. Don't go there. Don't go there. Every tribe in this country, almost every tribe in this country, hold one or two on enmity with another tribe. You want to talk about, we hold it. You want to talk about how Igbos see Hausas, how Hausas see Igbos, how Yorubas see Igbos, how Igbos see Yorubas. You want to talk about even among Eastern Nigeria, my own tribe, how India will see India Onisha. You want to really go there? Or how my own tribe is in, how Ngwa people are being looked upon. You really want to talk about animosity. You really want to talk about how we treat each other in this country. You really want to go there. You want to talk about things you can hold on to and use as an excuse. You really want to go there and you're going to give it to Americans, Black Americans. Are you serious? Are you serious? Come on.
To feel like they're complaining because we were raised through struggle. Like, I barely even have water, and you have water, you're complaining. But then it's not about the basic.
She talked about water. I live in a state that doesn't have water. We have water issues in my state. Are you guys beginning to appreciate where I'm coming from? How many times have I mentioned it in all the videos I've made? You know, there's some people who text me and be like, I want you to create awareness about this that happened in Africa today. I want you to talk about this that happened in Lagos today. I want you to talk about, and I'm like, I don't feel the need to talk about it. I really don't feel the need to talk about it. I'm not going to come live and then whine to you about Nigerian problems, except I really want to make a point or send a message home. I'm not here to create awareness. I'm here to send a message. That's the motto with which I operate this channel. I'm not. People often come create awareness about this. No, I'm not here to create. There's nothing that creating awareness has ever changed, as far as I'm concerned. What I'm concerned about the most is not about creating awareness. It's about making actual change. People get aware of it and not. Maybe in the 90s, right? Maybe in the 90s or when people had little things to pay attention to, maybe if you create awareness about something, it will change. But now people are occupied. People are on their phones scrolling. Today, five minutes ago, something was trending. The next 10 minutes, something else is trending. That's in that environment is where you want to create awareness that will be remembered, that will not be remembered after 5 minutes. No. If you want to make a point, something that somebody will listen to and they will leave with a crucial point you've made, that's what I'm more interested in. You know, look at where we come from, and then somebody is going to complain about police brutality in the US. You know nothing, my dear. You know nothing. Hey, you know absolutely nothing about police brutality. You know, anything you think American police are doing in the West is nothing. I kid you not. Is not anything you've had. If you're a Westerner right now, anything you just imagine police brutality. Are you done? That thing you just imagine is nothing. Have you had police officers who will corner you and tell you if you don't pay them this particular amount of money, you will die on the spot? That is the kind of police corruption I'm talking about. Where police sometimes will turn to robbers. I digress.
basic necessity or about how we are raised. We are raised like, I don't want to say way better. We might not have resources, but there are some way, like our own people will not look down on us or put us behind. So it's in they're nurtured that way. Like they just can't overlook it. And if you sit down and watch everything that the forefathers have been through for you, I changed my mind. No, they need to be angry. However, they should still move forward.
I mean, we have police brutality back home too.
True.
We have, like, if you
Exactly.
go to Cameroon,
Preach,
and then you
my
see
brother.
how the
Preach,
police
my
officer
brother.
treat us, and they're black
Preach,
just like
my
us.
brother.
You're not even gonna believe it.
Preach, my brother. If you tell them stories of police brutality, they will. If an African just sits you down and tell you stories of police brutality in Nigeria or in Africa, wherever Africa, I don't know how, but in Nigeria, I'm sure of, you'll be like, wow. Your mouth will be wide open like Jesus Christ. People want to talk about police brutality. If not, see, they are playing with you people over there. Police, they are playing. People are having fun. People are having fun. In fact, when people complain about the police abroad, I'm like, people are having fun. They are playing with you people. Nigerian police are not to be played with. You're not to when police stop you, they have stopped you. Behave yourself. I see these people doing battle of words with police officer abroad. When their camera is, they put their camera phone out. How dare you push me? How dare you touch me? Police, I'm here, my right. You are mentioning your right to who? To Onye? Who told you have right? Who told you in Nigeria you have right? Oluwa.
And in Cameroon we have this. Have you guys heard of the word like tribalism? So
Yeah, it happens in Nigeria.
Yeah, so we do get oppressed too. And
I agree.
so when I'm saying like we need to like look past that, I'm not saying forget what happened to
Gerard, he came. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Exactly. The word is SARS. The people are aware of the end SARS protest. Maybe I don't know how much. We're talking of creating awareness. That was something that happened. I've forgotten where it happened. Let me not say something before they come and pick me in my house. But it happened. Let me just say something before they come and pick me in my house. I feel like I'm speaking too much. Okay, I still live in Nigeria. Anyways, yeah, just wanted to point that out.
you guys or me. At the end of the day, we cannot just sit and just grieve on the past. We have to be able to move on, but not forget. If I could choose a place to live, it would obviously be my country. I love my country, but right now, my country is not the best choice for me. There's a little genocide going on in Cameroon right now. So many innocent lives are being taken. If I was still in my country, the opportunity that I have here, I would not have those opportunities there.
Truth.
Hip hop reinforces stereotypes about the black community.
%100%. You, who wants to deny that? I mean, that one is an obvious truth. That one is nobody will lie. It's an obvious truth. Hip hop has not helped black. You listen to the song these people make, you're like, what in the world is this? It's been bad, detrimental. Let me not talk too much in this department. I believe that everybody in this section, rather, I believe that everyone here have their head in order enough to know that hip hop is a negative influence. It could be a positive influence, but for the most part, it has been a negative influence.
In South Africa, we have our own version of hip hop, so we call it Kwaito. So they would rap in our own language in different, we call it Vernac. So back home, it kind of did reinforce some stereotypes because now when you go out in the world, people will just classify you under one group. And growing up, also looking at American entertainment, looking at the hip hop that's done here, I'm like, oh, well, you're rapping about drugs, you're rapping about this. Of course it's going to happen. Of course you're going to go to jail. But getting older, you see the culture as well of hip hop. I had to understand that there's a culture within that.
I was alive when hip hop started, and it was during a time where people rapped about what they saw, what they wanted in life. And then it became where people rapped about what they had been through, what they had gotten over, used to sell drugs, used to hurt people, but now this is who they are. And I think it's gotten into now, and in our day and age now, It's where people are glorifying and wanting to pretend that these are the things that they do on a daily basis when it's not. So it went from storytelling to now really it's truly storytelling, but it's unhealthy for our culture.
I don't want to on my radio and all I'm hearing is, I put a bullet in it, something, something. Like, I'm like, eh? That's what you people do?
I like this Nigerian lady. I mean, let me tell you guys, I cannot listen to hip hop music. I listen to some Jay-Z, I listen to some Kendrick Lamar, but I cannot listen to any of those songs in the presence of my parents. I can't. Even as a grown adult, I can't. They'll just tell me, turn that nonsense off. Turn that rubbish off. That's the next thing. You just turn that rubbish off. Just turn it off. That is nonsense. That is not music. You know. Maybe it's because they are the older generation. I don't know. Well, do with that information whatever you may.
No, like, and then it's like, it's all about like talking about female body type, the booty, the
Exactly.
things. Like, don't talk about my booty like that. So I don't want to listen to something that portray me as a female that way, or something that is talking about how you put bullets in my head. Like, if you actually do not come to America and see for yourself, you will think that most African Americans are carrying guns around and they just shoot.
Exactly. The idea that many Africans have about African Americans, if you hear what we think about you guys, you will be like, whoa. We think you guys are like criminals. Because that's how you portray yourself. What do you think about African? Those people are gangsters. Those people are criminals. That's how you portray yourself. We see these people are criminals. These are African Americans, criminals. African Americans, and I don't believe that is the case for every single African American. But that's what you people portray. That's what you people portray. If I see someone like you, there are many Nigerians who dress like African Americans, right? Like they what I mean by dress like African Americans is they sag, they have visible tattoos on their neck, they have dreads, they put on earring. And when I see those people, I cross to the other side of the street. Even me, I cross to the other side of the street. And then tomorrow an African American will be like, why are these people crossing to the other side of the street? I'm like, even I will cross. If I see you, I will cross to you. If I see you, I will cross with the way you are. If I see you, I will cross. I will so cross to the other side of the street because you look threatening. You look scary.
Randomly, or they just grab your ass or something like that. That's the way the music portray them. And music is a very important element in our society because it influences a lot of people, both young and adult, and then they kind of see all those stuff and they act like that, even though that's not what they really want to be. They act like that and behave like that. Like if all these rappers are your role model, then you want to be like them.
Yes, of course. What this lady is saying is 100% true. I remember a classmate of mine when I was in school, not a classmate, sorry, a roommate, because we stayed in the same room. He listened to a lot of Rick Ross, a whole lot of Rick Ross. He was a huge fan of Rick Ross. And he was saying to us then that one of his life goals was to end up in prison. I kid you not. This was somebody who was just ingesting a lot of Rick Ross. And he was like, he believed that going to prison is going to give him street credibility, that then he will be able to relate. And I'm like, this is somebody who is in Nigeria. Look at what Rick Ross's music is doing to him. How much more somebody who lives over there, who that is all he or she listens to? What do you think the impact and the effect of that will be?
You want to be cool too. So in the end, it's about like the people that are packaging the music. And sometimes it's about trend. It's what people want to hear.
The American dream is only for white people.
I believe that the American dream is only for white people because it says equal. And when we talk about equal, there's no equality between the 1%, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Trumps, and the people who really run the media and things of that nature. So for black people growing up in America and living in America, we could become rich, we could become wealthy, but we are not on the equal playing field of white America. The system of white supremacy, which is in the law enforcement, which is in the judicial system, which is in the prison industrial association, also in the politics. We are not equal in any of those terms.
Yeah, it is obvious that this guy really buys the whole. He has really the whole systemic oppression thing. He looks like he's even the one who came up with the concept. The way he's so bought into, as in he has so bought into it, and I can understand as much as it's upsetting. But there's something he said. These are things that are generational, I guess, and this is something that the media and so much of society have fostered on him. Even a huge part of it may even be imposed on him. I'll use the word imposed on him by his parents. These are things. There are so many forces in your environment that is giving you certain mindset and giving you certain ideas. Sometimes when you sit back and ask yourself, where did I come up with so many of this? You don't even know how it started. You don't even know how you came up with these things. But now this is what you believe, and now this is what you are right. You are living your life according to. And it's just sad. I wish everyone, if there's one thing anyone should learn from this, is take your time. Think of whatever notion it is that you hold so dear and you believe to be true that is controlling your life. And ask yourself, where did I get this from? How true is it? And then you realize that so many of these things are just things that it's just from the environment where you find yourself, or from the family where you grew up from, or your background. They just put this mindset into your head at a time when you didn't even know it was being planted, and now the seed has grown and is like a palm tree, or even a forest at this point. It's like only you have like a forest of funny ideas that is holding you back. Like the American dream, for example. It is an idea, right? The American dream is an idea that anybody can have. Anybody. How achievable it is up to you. Living the American dream is up to you. Like we've said before, there is nothing stopping you from living that American dream, whatever it is for you. You talk about equality. You want to feel equal? You want to really look up to somebody who is, you feel that's the status you want to, that's where you want to be in life, and you want to stand shoulder to shoulder with that person. You can. You can. Stop listening to all those black millionaires and black billionaires who tell you that after their billions, they are still not equal. They are lying to you. They are saying that because they want to identify with you. They're saying that because somehow they don't want you to look at them and be like, oh, because this person has gotten rich, he no longer identify with us. They're trying to identify with you, and they're lying. The truth is, it doesn't affect them. The truth is, systemic oppression is not touching Oprah Winfrey. Whatever it is that you call systemic oppression, it is not touching her. Inequality, whatever you want to define it as, does not affect Jay-Z. You see, system of oppression, white supremacy, it's not touching Kanye West. It's not. Russell Simmons, all those people, it is not touching them. It does not affect them. They will lie to you. Of course they have to. Because they want to feel like they are still in touch with the hood, that they have not abandoned their black people. So they will tell you all those, oh, even though I've made billions, I still may get shot, I still may be shot dead by the police. How? Where will the police find Oprah Winfrey to shoot her? Where? But she's going to tell you that and tell you that, yeah, even before the police, we are all equal. It's a lie. The only time she will be equal with you before the police is if she uses the same road that you use. Enter the same bus that you enter. Have you seen where these people live? Systemic oppression does not cross that street. Racial inequality cannot pass their gated community. It cannot enter. Everybody is equal and friendly there. If I drive a Porsche and you drive a Rolls Royce, we are friends. The end. But they will not tell you that one. They will still tell you that, no, my black skin is still affecting me. It's a lie. It's a big, fat lie.
When I was back there and when you were speaking, I started thinking, like, could we ever actually, as black people, have the American dream here in America? And I don't I don't know if we really can, I'm trying to be careful with my words, but I do think there needs to be a degree of separatism. Like Black people, we really need to have our own to fully take part in that dream.
This is their system. Yeah. Why would
Are you seeing the problem? This is what we call lack of assimilation. You've been free, but you refuse to assimilate. Oh, I don't want anything to do with this. I don't want anything to do with this. I don't want to do with anything to do with this, their system. I don't want to be a part of their system. Their system is evil. Blah, 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 blah. All those things you come up with. And I ask you, what system have you seen that is better? What economic, financial, political system have you found that is better than what you have in the West? What system? This is their system. What is the opposite of their system? What are you offering? I really don't even get it. You need to separate. I mean, you see the problem with where you get certain rights and certain liberties, and you've not really prepared yourself and developed yourself to really key into those ideas. Somehow you find yourself regressing to the rights that we are giving to you, regressing from the rights that we are giving to you, right? Because you're not prepared for them. Now you're like, no, you know what? I'm going to regress to something that your ancestors fought for. Your ancestors fought for you to be a part of the system. And now you're like, you know what? I'm regressing from this system. I don't want it. I want to be separate. Now I want to segregate. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Your ancestors must be so proud. Martin Luther King, this is what he marched for. So that you can be separate.
would we dream of being equal in a system that wasn't designed for us?
Before we continue, here's a live chat, super chat from Long Story Short. A Long Story Short. Man, you're a huge sponsor of this live stream. I appreciate it so much. He said, do I watch Arc Nations News? No, I don't. If you send me a link, I will look at it. But I don't.
The American dream, at least the way that I define it, is, freedom of opportunity, freedom to choose what I want to do, freedom to acquire wealth the same way that anybody else can. Obviously, we're fighting the tides of time on that and our circumstances, but it's hard because it's hard to honor that, but then also want more for myself. And I think that as Black people, we're always teeter-tottering on that line of like, well, am I American? Like, do I get the American dream, or do we just tear all this down and build something new? White people are not the only people entitled to the American dream, ever. Yeah. And I think that that's why we're all here, because our ancestors made it so that we can stand here and pursue that American dream.
I wouldn't have been here if it meant that it was not for everyone. I wouldn't have even
Preach,
entered
right,
America.
sister. Preach.
I feel like not just African, but other people as well in different countries. And from what I have seen, I've seen other people, even Africans and African Americans, succeeding in their own way. And that's why I feel like you said, you can interpret the American dream in a different way, whatever industry or whatever it is that you're focusing on, because there is a level of opportunity there. There is some way.
Yeah, I'll get back to what the lady is saying, but I want to highlight this super chat. Thank you, Woke, C-O-K. I would like to know what the C even stands for. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chats. Yes, godlessness is a big problem, a very big problem, a very, very big problem that the West is suffering from. It is, I mean, we can go on and talk about how the godless, the West is becoming a godless society, which is heartbreaking. When you consider the fact that these are the same people who spread Christianity to. Granted, Christianity has been in Africa before European missionaries, right? Yes, it has. We have Ethiopia. We have other places in Africa that have seen Christianity. But West Africa, for example, West Africa didn't know anything about Christianity until European missionaries came. And I'm very sure the same applies to South Africa and some parts of North Africa. Well, I won't say some part of North Africa, but mostly West Africa, and South Africa and East Africa. Right, right? East. Yeah, some part of the eastern part of Africa. So to a huge extent, these people were the ones who like spread the religion, and now they are losing it. It's heartbreaking. It's really a story of how had the mighty fallen, you know. Yeah, we can talk about that, but I want to go back to what this lady is saying.
Even entered America. You know, I feel like not just African, but other people as well in different countries. And from what I have seen, I've seen other people, even Africans and African Americans, succeeding in their own way. And that's why I feel like you said, you can interpret the American dream in a different way, whatever industry or whatever it is that you're focusing on, because there is a level of opportunity there. There is some way that you can be successful. You know, talking about Trevor Noah, you know, who took over The Daily Show. It wouldn't have been possible for him coming in.
Yeah,
as an
even though I
African.
know it
He
was
got
kind
his
of like
American
a
dream.
affirmative
It
action
made
kind
us
of
as
thing.
well, other Africans, believe that
So I
it
was
is
talking
possible.
about this Trevor Noah hosting the Daily Show. That guy had zero talent for Daily Show. I think the Daily Show did his career dirty. Jesus Christ! Of course, at one point he was able to sell out Madison Square Garden, and that was huge, right? And I guess maybe a huge part of it had to do with the Daily Show, but his skill as a comedian, I watch it diminish. Like I could no longer enjoy. I used to watch Trevor Noah. I could no longer enjoy his comedy after he started that. It was maybe it's just the jokes from the Daily Show, but they were bad. They were bad, and they were so many things, but they were not funny. And now that's me being honest. You know, but to the point she's trying to make, anybody can excel, anybody can succeed. We have so many Nigerians in finance, so many Nigerians in politics, so many. One of Trump's daughters, one of the granddaughters, I don't know, but somebody in the Trump family is married to a Nigerian. I know many people don't know this, but yes, somebody from the Trump family is married to a Nigerian. Okay, speaking of, you know, attaining that height, getting there. Anybody can, you can, I can, anybody can. And the proof that so many Africans are doing it I feel this should motivate African Americans. If an African can do it, you have no excuse. You know, I want to highlight this super chat from my able sponsor. Let me speak like a Nigerian. Okay, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. You say 80% of children out of wedlock is an issue. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I think you're talking with regards to black households. Yes, you have single parenthood. The percentage is much among black households, and that is a problem. That is a major problem because, of course, when you see how so many black Americans act, especially in the news, in the media, on social media, you just know. Usually, every time I see it, I always ask, where is your father? I'm like, what? Is your father alive and you're doing this thing? Because I mean, I don't know how people if somebody who has a father figure in their life, who has fear for authority, because that's one thing fathers instill in you, fear of authority, how to behave yourself in public. You know, that's something I believe fathers are good at, you know, instilling in children. And many children who don't know how to behave themselves have not really had that. Not had that fear of authority, that regard for authority, because there has never been any form of authority that they respect in their life. Now, some mothers can do a good job in ensuring that those children respect authority and behave themselves, but it's not always the case.
The American dream writes his check. So he gets to have wealth or whatever it is that he's experiencing, but the American dream is the one who writes his check, not him.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But do you see how we would put it as he had his American dream, even though someone writes his check? But for him, or for some of us looking at it on the other side, that's his American dream, because his goal was to get there. The biggest cultural shock I saw coming here was different.
Don't allow anybody to tell you otherwise. No, Trevor Noah, that was his dream. That was his dream. That was a huge dream. My God, leave Trevor Noah. Burna Boy sold out Madison Square Garden. He is not a freaking American. Burna Boy is selling out shows in Europe. Burna Boy is selling out arenas. He's selling out huge venues. What do you call that? Davido is selling out shows in the US. What do you call that? And these people are not even, just think about the fact that people who are not even, you won't even call them immigrants. These are visitors. They come to America. They don't even live here. They make money here and they leave. And they're living the American dream off of the business that they perform in America. They're not even Americans. They're not even Americans. They don't even live here. They're not resident of any state in the US. And they are benefiting from that. What then is your excuse to say no, the dream is not for me? If Burna Boy will sell out Madison Square Garden, this is a super chat from Odiakaboeze. I hope I pronounced that one well. Sorry, I'm not good with Igbo names, so I'm Lagos Igbo boy. So bear with me. She said, thank you first of all for the 10 what now? Is that euros? I don't know. 10 euros or 10 pounds. Whichever one it is. Thank you so much for that. She said they are not losing Christianity. They are denying it because they would rather play victimhood to get what they want faster than waiting for God's time. Yeah. I get where you're coming from. The victimhood complex, or will I call it industry, it's not an industry in the West. It's really lucrative. Look at, what's her name now? Look at, what's the name? Meghan Markle, Prince Harry's wife. And look at the deals, the business deals that she was able to get with Netflix, with Spotify. You know, the book deals that she was able to get because she claimed to be a victim whose privacy was invaded, even though she was just, offering it endlessly, calling paparazzi endlessly. But she claimed to be a victim and people took her seriously, and everybody wanted to hear the story of this new victim. That's to tell you how lucrative it is. It is indeed lucrative, And my brother used to say something that if he's in the US, he would do the same thing. That if grifting will make him rich, and Americans will fall, and many Americans will fall for it, that he would just do it. Why not? He usually says that as a joke, but I don't believe he would. But he would be like, man, sometimes I don't even blame them, because there are people there are really dumb people out there who are falling for this nonsense. Like, you cannot see obviously that this lady is putting up an act. She's not actually a victim. So that's kind of, I feel, the incentive. There's an incentive to be a victim. It's a fast way, yes. And many of them don't even believe in God's timing, And I think the lack of faith is really what makes so many people not believe in something, That's a fair point. I mean, the lack of faith in a higher power, if you know what I mean. The lack of faith in God. I feel that thing can bleed out all form of disbelief and lack of faith and lack of hope,
The lifestyle, because the lifestyle I saw of America, especially Los Angeles, was portrayed as a very rich lifestyle. And of course, I came here as a student, and coming here, living here, and seeing the reality of it, seeing different homeless people, disadvantaged people, was really a cultural shock for me, because I didn't expect to see that. And I guess also the way people were handling each other, because coming in as an African, I thought people were together. But since being here, I saw that there was a huge divide, or there is still a huge divide within the African American community themselves.
If he had stayed in South Africa, would he have the same opportunity that he had here?
No.
So corporate is writing his check.
Thank you.
But like us growing up, the reason we move here is because we don't have it better back home.
This guy just made that point obvious. If there is no opportunity in the West, why do you think there are so many immigrants flooding? You need to go to American embassy in Nigeria and see people waiting. Is it as in sea of people waiting? It's a queue. It is always a queue over there. Not just American embassy, Canadian embassy, UK embassy. It is a sea of people. People waiting to leave. They just want to leave. They just let my feet touch Western soil. And let me hear that I did not make it. That's what they are telling themselves. And you say there is no opportunity. Okay.
Like for me, I'm the first person ever in my family in America. Everybody else is back home. Everybody is depending on me. All of them, my mom, she's dying to come here. Like, she's willing to do anything just for her to be in America. So for me, when I look at those like little things, I'm like, yeah, American dream is for everybody, you know? Like, yeah, we might not have the same opportunity as the white people, but there's still that little chance that a lot of us back home are willing to take just to get here.
I trust.
Before we continue, let me please. Oh, David, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the $50 super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And yeah, back to the point that this person made. Exactly. If you like, which I've already stated. Sorry, money is distracting me. Which I've already made, which is that the West is a land of opportunity. Nobody should tell you otherwise. When people say it is bad in the West, this is that. I was doing a podcast recently, and I was speaking there, and I was telling them that the problem I think with the West, many people in the West, is that they lack perspective. You know, and I think that's why I call my channel Nigerian Perspective. Is that, you know, I feel Westerners need that perspective. You need that foreign perspective, because the lack of perspective is the reason why Americans and Westerners act the way they do. You don't have one thing perspective does, or one thing perspective offers you, is that it gives you something to compare yourself to. Right? It gives you something to compare yourself to. Americans compare themselves with an idea, right? They come up with something in their head. Right? There's this utopia in your head that you are comparing your reality to. You know, my philosophy lecturer told us when we were in my first year in philosophy class, he said, poverty is reality minus expectation. Right? When you subtract expectation from reality, then you say you are poor. And in that regard, everyone is poor. You know, and I think what Americans compare themselves to is an expectation, a dream, an idea, right? They don't have physical realities to compare. Often they do not have things to look to say, okay, this is what I'm comparing myself to. You understand? And one thing that allows you to be is grateful, right? When you see how people are living in other parts of the world, when you see how people have it in other parts of the world. Now, I'm not saying everything is okay in your country. I'm not saying things cannot get better. I'm not saying things cannot improve, you know. But when you look at how far you've come, right? When you look at how far you've come, it kind of motivates you and gives you something to believe in and gives you something to be grateful for. And you can look and be like, listen, we are not like these other people. We have it better here. You know, one of my viral videos was a video where I was talking about, one of my viral shots was one where I was talking about a woman who went, a Nigerian. It turns out that this woman is actually a Nigerian who has this travel, what I call it, blog or so. And she was comparing her experience as a black woman in different European countries and how she did not feel safe in those countries. And I was pointing out that if she thinks that those places are unsafe for a black person, she should come to Africa. She will see safety. She will see safety for a black woman. If there's anything she thinks is unsafe, she should come to Africa. You know, and which is what I was kind of pointing out in the video. And I think that is something that Westerners need. If you think what is going on wherever you are is so terrible, America is the most racist country in the world, come to Africa. You don't know anything about racism. At least somebody will be racist and they will condemn the person. In Nigeria, yes, somebody will be openly tribalistic, calling out for bad things to happen to another tribe, and he will get a political position. Nothing will happen to him. Nothing. Cancellation Ebola. No, he will not be cancelled or he will not lose. No, he will not lose sleep. Over there, you say something, you say the wrong thing about one race, about somebody with a certain gender orientation, you might even get arrested. Here, you say it about, you call for violence, you call for the killing of actual people, and nothing will happen to you. Nothing. It's like you will sleep, like I said, you will sleep well, like you said nothing. And everybody's like, oh, well, at least he's not killing anybody. You know. And you complain, oh, they were staring at me in a way I don't like. It's because they were racist. Staring is what made you unsafe. It's not like they waved the machete or something. They stared at you. That's all. I think you are fine. Perspective is what many people in the West lack. And I hope this channel will be able to offer it to some of you. Hopefully.
Law enforcement.
I don't have a thing to say.
All right. Can the disagreeer step forward?
I got married to a young lady who did 15 years in prison for a robbery she didn't commit. I myself was incarcerated for 6 months for a burglary that I couldn't have committed because I was in prison. So in 1987, I'm doing 19 months in prison. When I came home in 1988, I was given a burglary charge and I had to sit 6 months. And the judge did not kick it out because there's no way I could have done it. He kicked it out because they didn't serve me the warrant while I was in prison. So I don't trust them. They lie and they do things and it affects our people. So many people I know who have been wrongfully arrested, wrongfully convicted, and they actually lie on the stand, so there's no trust.
As you guys know, I am from Richmond, Virginia. It was the capital of the Confederate. I have been brutally abused by the police there. Like personally, I was at the river on the 4th of July. I don't smoke, I don't do none of that. The police come and arrest me because I look like a drug dealer. Like they arrested me.
What? The stereotype.
Then when I was in high school, my senior year, my father went to jail over a car accident. And I was left alone at 17 years old. I was grateful. One of my teachers took me in and like raised me. I try to stay away from the police as much as possible.
First of all, they're human beings, and I think that just because you put a badge on doesn't magically.
As a Nigerian, I don't trust it. It's just a Nigerian thing. I don't trust the police. I don't. I understand the need for the police, but I don't trust the police. I don't trust the police. I have no reason to. As a Nigerian, I don't know how the police in the West are, but as a Nigerian, I have no reason to trust the police. Hey, Jesus, those people have done things. They have done things. They have done a whole lot of things. I have no trust for the Nigerian police, you know. And the way I see law enforcement is just try as much as my rule in life is try as much as possible to just stay out of their way, right? Like when it comes to me and law enforcement, just try as much as possible to stay. If they say stand up, stand. If they say sit, sit. If they say move out, move out. Just come. Anything they tell you to do, do. If you have issues, you point it out later. Not there and there. Just my own is just, if there's anything I can do to let these people go away as quickly as possible, I will do it. Anything. They are not my friends. They may be my friends maybe when there's a crime being committed and I need somebody to help. Maybe then. But on a good day, I'm just going about my business, doing, minding my own business, not bothering anybody. If I encounter the police, I just want to do anything to get them off my back. Like, just get them off my back. I don't want, like, let me say it how Nigerians will say, I don't want. Then we say it like this and rub our hands. I don't want. I don't. So
bewitch you with like integrity and a desire to actually help the people around you. I think a lot of times police culture comes from police families. It comes from like legacy lines and this whole like kind of like culture about stuff. I mean, I don't trust them any more than I would trust any other person. They haven't earned that necessarily, especially not as an institution. In its purest form, I think it's necessary.
But make no mistakes, there are good police officers, and I know a couple of them. In fact, where I'm staying, I know one that is a very good police officer. Like, the man is very good. Like, I know a couple of very good police officers. Not all of them are like terrible, but like they say, the police force itself, like there's in Nigeria, I don't know about the West, right? For me in Nigeria, the police force in Nigeria needs serious reform, like serious police reform. Serious police reform. Like, the police in Nigeria need to be well funded. They need to be well funded. Nigerian police are known for taking bribes, like it's just, they take bribes all the time. And one of the reasons why they do that is because they're not well funded. They're not well funded. They need to be well funded. They need to be well paid. These guys are not being paid well, and they are putting their life and a lot on the line. And it kind of, it affects you at the end of the day, and you want to take it out on the people you are supposed to protect. That's something. And police training needs to, they need to be trained. The training needs to be, I don't think they are being trained properly. I don't think Nigerian police are being trained properly. I think something needs to go into how they are being trained. A lot needs to go into how they are being trained, how they are being selected, and everything. The system needs to change, needs to really, really improve. Nigerian police don't treat you like a human being. They treat you like you are a dog. Except you are a politician's son, or you are the son of a very rich man. Like, they treat you like you are trash. They don't treat you like normal. You're not a normal, as far as they are concerned. You're not normal. You're already abnormal. Anyway, Nigerians on a good day treat each other like they're not treating normal human beings. So imagine how the intensity with which the police will do such, will give out such treatment. So.
But they have a lot of living up to that to do and to make up for if they're going to be trusted.
I've seen law enforcement here on social media and seeing how they treat people of color, from like hitting them. I mean, George Floyd, rest in peace. But just seeing that from my experience being here, I was scared, like every time I'd see a cop pass by, I'm like, okay, I better make sure I'm driving.
Yeah, there's something someone said in the comments that I want to highlight, which is very, very important. Sorry, I cannot pronounce your name. I'm bad at pronouncing names like that have many consonants. And he said that's the basics. Yes, the core part of avoiding corruption among the police. When the law enforcement doesn't get enough, when the law enforcement doesn't get enough paid, I think what you want to say is when the law enforcement does not get enough pay, don't be surprised if they are getting salaries from cartels. Yes, that's what is bound to happen. When they are not being paid enough, they have to get that payment somewhere else. So they have to be someone else. When your police force is not being paid well enough, they will be paid by someone else. It will be easy for them to be in the pocket of someone else. That's a very fair point. A very, very fair point. But that's something many people in the West will not even understand. I think your police are being paid. I don't know, but I believe the police force in the West, they are really being paid well. They are really being paid well. They're not like the police force in countries like mine, where the police gun has like 75 sellotapes around it. Have you seen a police gun with sellotape before? That kind of gun that when you look at it, you're like, accidental discharge is possible at any time. That's the kind of police force we have in Nigeria.
Okay, because I don't want to be stopped or make sure you're not in any harm's way, but it's sad to feel that pressure every time you see a cop going by. And even if they're trying to help, but I wouldn't even want that help because of what I've been seeing on social media, and also seeing the case of people being wrongfully, taken to prison. That's like unfair. Like, what type of research are you doing before you arrest people?
And I immediately thought about the history of the police too, just tracing that back to slave patrols, which...
Jesus Christ, can we stop doing everything? Is not an opportunity to give us a history lesson. Jesus Christ. Oh, the police was instituted to stop slaves from escaping the plantation. They have always had this historical bias against us. What about the ones in Nigeria? What were they created to do? Jesus Christ, for God's sake. Most everything boiled down to what happened in 1500 AD.
Became our modern day police departments and
Oh, the fact that like if you have a felony, you can't vote. Like that to me is like, talk about the loss of the American dream. Like you are a citizen of this country. You should always have a right to vote.
We are obsessed with.
No. This is where I'm unpopular opinion. I know many people don't agree with me. You see this universal adult suffrage. I'm not in support of it. Because I will say it now. In theory, I'm not in support. Of course, I don't think there's anything I will say or do that will change that. But I'm not a huge fan of universal adult suffrage. The people that are voting in this country, when I see some of them, I'm like, nah, we need to put some metrics in place to prevent some people from going to vote. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. I'm not a huge fan of this. It's even expensive. You know, anything to reduce the number of people voting, as long as it is equally applied. I don't want something that once it is put in place, it's going to make you, no matter what you do, you'll not be able to vote. But if it's something that can be equally applied, that anybody, let's say a metric that anyone can ascertain, put it in place. A fair metric, some obstacles, something. Not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can just go and thumbprint and then you have voted for somebody. That's how we end up with useless politicians. No. So I say everybody should vote. Like it's a given. Yeah, it goes without saying. Why can't everybody vote? Even when democracy was being practiced in Greece, not everybody had the right to vote.
Race in America.
I think that word obsessed is such an interesting word, and I think that the way that question is framed is almost as if it's like the only race in this country.
It's a
They
lie.
made their laws based on.
Maybe they were. Maybe there was a time when, everything was about race. Maybe when we talk about Jim Crow, in South Africa, you talk about apartheid, but you people talk about it at this right now. If you talk about 2023, because some of you like living in 16th century. If you talk about 2023, it's not. It's Black Americans that are obsessed. I mean, the obsession is crazy. Obsessed with race. There is no any opportunity to bring up race. It's an opportunity that African Americans, for the most part, will just seize with both hands. They don't let it pass them by. They don't. Is the obsession is among Black Americans. This one is something you should not. You talk about it too much. Too much for your own good. I think you talk about it, it's not an issue. The issue is no longer racism. The issue is the talk, the excess talk about. Sometimes I'm like, can these people talk about something else? And the excuse is always, no, it is something that we are constantly surrounded by. That's why we are. Give me an instance of racism that you saw today. Let one of those people tell me, give me an example of racism that they saw this month. This month. What racism have you suffered this month? Don't give me all those fairy tales that you come up. There's a system that is choking me knife yesterday. No, I mean real things that I can hold, something tangible.
They've cast us out because of it. They've destroyed entire groups of people because of it. So, I mean, we're just living in the ripple effects of the stones that were cast in the pond of history. So we're just reacting to it. So we would rather just be human beings and American citizens and, people that are.
It's not. This guy is saying so many things that are not true. He said we are suffering the ripple effect of stones that we are cast in the stream of history, or whatever it is that he said. It's not true. You have decided to beat the drum of something that happened in the past. You are the one who is making that decision daily when you wake up. You are the one making it a choice, a daily choice to wake up and repeat it. Repeat it to yourself over and over again. It is you who is doing that. No other person is doing it to you. You are the one doing it to yourself. No other person is doing it to you. There's tribalism in Nigeria. We don't sit every day and talk about it. We don't. There is like serious tribalism is in this country. We don't talk about it often. That's why when you see us abroad, it looks as if there's no tribal tension, but there is. Or sometimes you look at Africa, you be like, they're living in it's because we don't talk about it often. See, there's something people in the West need to learn, that it's not all your problem that you just you just start talking about. Like some things you just don't make it and just don't talk about it. Sometimes not talking about it makes it less of an issue. Sometimes you escalate matters by just, you carry megaphone and say, hey, and then people start analyzing it and you will realize you are making a mountain out of a molehill. Something that is insignificant to you, you will not stop singing. People have made, there are records upon records. Musicians have made like countless albums addressing the issue of racism. Stop talking about it.
We're pursuing an American dream. We'd rather not have to think about race, but that we did not draw first blood on that.
What else do you expect?
Yeah, like, I
given the
mean,
history?
I'm not
Like,
obsessed.
Yeah.
For me, being in America give me an opportunity to like meet and like discover so many different culture that I would never see if I was in my country. I would just like maybe hear about it on the news. Yes, I agree. I think they are very obsessed with race. Even when you do like an easy application, like it doesn't matter what application you do, they want to know your race. They want to know, why they don't have a category for Africans.
Exactly.
That's why I'm checking out every time.
But here's the funny thing this guy is pointing out. The reason why they want to know your race is because they have a quota. They have been forced to have a quota. And if they try to abolish that quota, they will say abolishing that quota is contributing to racism. So you are creating something, the thing becomes an issue, and now they're asking about your race, and you're like, no, don't ask about my race. If they ask about your race, it's racism. If they don't ask about your race, it's also racism. That is the dilemma that you have put everyone in America in. There's something somebody mentioned here that I want to point out. He said, your username is what? And he said, no jokes, there's a white lady on TikTok who said waking up at a certain time and eating at a certain time is a remnant of colonialism. Yes, I even reacted to the video. Kind of crazy. Doesn't even make sense. Like, as if no other tribe in the world had regimented eating. Only Westerners knew how to structure their life. That's essentially what that person was saying in that video. And I was like, I don't even know if you're trying to... What do you think you're trying to do? So people don't even think. One thing I notice about those who even talk about racism, colonialism, and whatever it is they want to attribute to the white man. I'm like, this thing is now, I think the real racism is the thing you are saying, not the thing you are pointing out. Like, are you saying we are that stupid? Are you saying Africans are that stupid? Are you saying black people are that stupid? Are you saying Native Americans are that stupid? Asians are that stupid? Only white people we are structuring how they eat. So it's those kind of crazy things that, especially those white women on TikTok. Sorry, it's not like I'm pointing any demographic. I'm just making an observation. Yeah.
They want to know everything.
The thing that pissed me off the most is that when they see you, and they'll be like, oh, you have an accent. Where are you from? Like, who cares where I'm from? Just tell me this thing and let me keep going.
And then when you tell them that you're African, they'll be like, what?
Nkechi. Let me give this girl a name. Nkechi, stop this thing you're doing. We do this thing you're complaining that happens in America. We do it in Nigeria too now. There's a way somebody will speak. He said, Neve Kisi, where are you from? Don't make it look like it's something that only happens abroad. Maybe you are tired of it happening there. I get it. Maybe you feel a type of way when you are asked that over there. And for some whatever reason, valid enough, whatever it is, it may be valid. But we do it here too. That thing you are tired of, we do it here too. My name is Frank Steven, right? And I need to point that out again for the 16th time. And whenever I go to a place, let's say they want to write my name on a receipt, or I buy something, they want to write out a receipt for me, and I say, my name is Frank Steven. Oftentimes, the person look at me and be like, Really, is that your name? I receive that here almost every time. Really, is that your name? I'm like, yes, it's my name. Like, seriously, your surname is Steven. I'm like, yes, my surname is Steven. And then the next question is, where are you from? That is the next question I receive. Unlike in Nigeria, for the most part, when you tell people your name, they can conclude, they can come to a conclusion about where you are from. If your name is Bamidele, you are a Yoruba person. If your name is Chinedu, you are an Igbo person. If your name is Musa, you are an Hausa person. If your name is Edidiong, you are from Calabar. You know, if your name is Ogene Kome, you are from Delta. You know, we can come to those kind of, based on your name. But when you have an ethnic ambiguous name like Frank Steven, someone has to ask you, where are you from? It's just people who are curious, people who want to learn about you, people want to know about you. Yeah? This is the funny thing, which is why I said it's just you damned if you do, damned if you don't. If they don't ask you, problem. If they ask you, problem.
Country.
Yeah, they're so obsessed with where you're from.
She be like Wakanda.
Like,
I don't believe that there's an obsession about race in America. I believe that race is a distraction to hide the power, the wealth, and the access to it. So a lot of times there's something put on the table like a rock being thrown and I hold my hand, and that's the racism between black and whites, between blacks and Hispanic, and other cultures have come here. We'll talk about race just so that we don't have access to the power and the wealth, and I think it's done on purpose. There's a power that allows us to talk about race if we don't look past it.
some of the question prompts that I see differently, and then when I hear somebody say it, I'm like, that actually makes sense coming from their perspective. So it's been really beautiful having this conversation with you guys. You guys are very knowledgeable, and
Nkechi is making me proud. Nkechi, sorry, it's not her name, but she looks like an Nkechi.
Lot from each and every one of you today.
Going into this with like the title of the series, like African versus African American, I think that like people were gonna come in thinking that we were gonna be like guns blazing, but this is such a beautiful display of unity. I love it. It like gave me so much life today.
All right, so that's the end of that, and yeah, there's something someone said here that I want to point out from C.J. Thompson. He said, "What a ridiculous mentality! They're just asking out of curiosity. People ask me anytime I leave Texas, where I'm from." And it's not my color, it's my speech. Exactly. There's so many things about you that make people ask the question. They're just curious. They just want to know. There's nothing wrong. They just want to know. It's just the same way. When ladies dress the way they dress to the red carpet and you ask them, what are you wearing? You know. Because it's something you're not used to. It's something that you don't see every day. When you live in a place where you are somebody who they don't see every day, they want to learn about you. And shouldn't they? Shouldn't they? You know, when there's a place where I was staying one time in the city where I currently live, when I moved there, people asked me a lot of questions because I spoke differently. I mean, I lived all my life in Lagos, then I'm moving to a new city and I was speaking differently. You could tell that I did not grow up in this place. And people wanted to know a lot about me. I've gone to places and you get that kind of question just with how you present yourself. You understand? Is that people want to learn. Is it not a wonderful thing? Just many people who move through life and nobody is curious, gives a damn about them. They are just like every other person, nothing outstanding about them. And someone sees you and considers you outstanding, and you are complaining. That is too much. That's to tell you how blessed you are, my dear. My dear, rather. All right, guys. Thank you all so much. We've gone for 2 hours, 23 minutes. Oluwakemi, let me highlight it. Oluwakemi Bamidele said, "Can you speak Yoruba?" I cannot. I cannot. I can speak Igbo better than I can speak Yoruba. Funny enough, I was born and raised
in Lagos. Shamefully, it's a shame on my part that I don't know. But I like when people speak it, I understand it. I can decipher things that have been said in Yoruba. I don't know if I still can because it's been a while. Like I left Lagos. I left Lagos in 2012, so it's been a while. I don't know if I can still decipher stuff. When I listen to some songs, some Yoruba songs, I still can tell, But my family members, especially my younger one, she's good. Like she's good. She knows Yoruba very well. Well, not very well, better than I do anyway. So yeah, I cannot speak Yoruba fluently. At least I can say kilode. John said, Frank, congratulations for having over 100 viewers tonight on your channel. It is finally growing. I'm proud of you. Thank you so much. I'm proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself as well. This is a major milestone. I'm really happy. I'm really excited. You guys are great. Like, you guys are wonderful. You guys are the best. You guys are the best. You guys are the best. Let me see. Let me see something else. Other comments that somebody here said. Her name is Marilyn. She said, "My name is Marilyn, and people don't believe I'm Igbo because of my name." Yeah, Marilyn, I can 100% relate. You understand? I can 100, especially someone like me who my accent has been affected by growing up in Lagos and staying in where I am staying currently. I have the Yoruba accent. Sometimes I have the Igbo accent. Sometimes I have another. So sometimes I look, and then people cannot. Sometimes they cannot even tell. And sometimes people will be like, from the way someone looks, they can tell the way someone's physical appearance. They could tell this person is from this tribe or this person is from that tribe. But I don't think that's the same with me. So it's kind of hard for people to tell where I'm from. That's why I always get the question, "Where are you from? Where are you from?" So I understand that it's not easy. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for this. Is Gerard Ikem. Said, "I have coily hair as a 100% Nigerian. Everyone asks me where I'm from and will also want to touch my hair, Africans included." I've often had people complain, especially African Americans, about people wanting to touch their hair. And I'm like, if you have a foreigner's hair in Nigeria, people will want to touch it. So it's just, people are just curious. We should not read so much into this. People are just curious. I really am an advocate for the race relationship in the West. I don't like people dividing over irrelevant things like race. If there's something that would divide us, it shouldn't be that. Like, we shouldn't be, if there's something that should divide us, it shouldn't be race. I feel is in 2023, it shouldn't still be a major issue. I mean, even tribalism. I was talking, there was a time I was speaking with a relative of mine and they were talking about, like, Nigeria is so tribal that there are certain tribes that will not allow marriage with another tribe. That's how tribalistic Nigeria is. And when I hear these kind of things, I'm like, this is bad. How can we still be talking about this in 2023? And then you see in the West, the same kind of attitude is still there. And people harbor this kind of sentiment and this kind of mindset. And for me, I just feel that's horrible. That's bad. And nobody can move forward with that kind of mindset. Anyways, let me not keep you guys for long. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate. I'm really grateful. And I hope to do this. I'll be live again on Wednesday. Which will be Thursday here. Because right now it is Tuesday in Nigeria. But the 6 hours difference will make it, I don't know, maybe 7 o'clock. I don't even know what time. Maybe 8 o'clock over there in the West. Or that's in the US. In Europe, it will still be around the same time frame. But those who stay in Canada and in the US, it will be like 6 hours, 7 hour difference. Anyways, thank you all so much. I'll be live again on Wednesday. And I hope you guys will come live with me. We'll have something else to talk about. We'll have something else to discuss. Maybe we'll go through a couple of news articles, or maybe I'll react to something. I don't know yet. But when the time comes, we'll know what it is. And I'm really grateful. Thank you all so much. And that being said, I believe we've come to the end of the